The Kiss, a memoir by Kathryn Harrison. Quote, I couldn't stop reading this. I'll never stop remembering it. Mary Carr, author of The Liars Club. Afterward by Jane Smiley. Chapter 15, page 176. As if my father's house were some kind of punitive school, which, in a way, it is. I'll remember my time with him as filled with painful lessons. I spent holidays with my mother and her parents, all of whom are strangely kind to me, as unprecedentedly gentle, as if by agreement. We never mention my father. We pretend that he doesn't exist, but we mourn for me, the lost child, the child snatched away by the lost father. We weep extravagantly at any opportunity. Ever fictive, over fictive deaths on television, distant accidents in the newspaper. We cry over the tiny losses of flat tires, broken radios, spilled milk. Over Christmas, my mother and I shop together, listlessly. We're going to the same party on New Year's Eve, one hosted by a friend of hers. She's buying me a dress to wear to that party. I'm to choose it with her from the overpriced Laura Ashley boutique. In the store, standing over her critical gaze, I am as I was a child. I commanded my body to endure the process with as much dignity as possible, while I remained underground, contracted to an assailable morsel deep within myself, too deep to exhume. It's not unlike the way I tolerate my father. This flesh, I tell myself, means nothing. You are not a body, but a heart, a mind, a soul. These are yours, and no one can take them from you. The dress cost a great deal, and is something I will never wear again. It's made from beautiful fabric, a subtly luminous blue plaid, but I dislike its high neck and tight bodice, the long sleeves, wide sash, and white cotton petticoats meant to be worn so that they show several inches below the hem. With black patent leather shoes and white lace tights, my blonde hair falling whole feet past the bow in the back, I look like what my mother must wish I were, a chaste, pretty doll incapable of the sins I conceal. After she buys my dress, she finds a low cut one of black velvet for herself, and then we take the Galleria escalators back down to the garage. Here, let me carry your bags too, I say, holding over out my free arm. One tread below me, the wan winter sun falling over her white face. My mother looks strangely frail. Are you okay? I ask. Tired, she says. Just tired. But there's something in the droop of her shoulders, the way she lets her head fall forward, that frightens me. I don't think of the lump, cut out a year before. I don't think cancer, but I feel a visceral squirm of fear. My heart pounds erratically. In the future, when I remember my mother, I'll recognize that instant on the moving stairs as the point at which I began to understand that I will lose her. The pallor of her face, its ghostly translucence, predicts that what I've always feared will come to pass. It whispers that the woman I have pursued for all my life will vanish. White space. When we dress for the party, my mother tells me what makeup to wear, and I obey. Put on some rouge, she says. Promise me, if you don't have a tan, you'll always wear rouge. All right, I say. The party is comprised of people I have never met. All of us gathered in a beautiful glass house on a hill overlooking the city. My mother's companion is with us. He drinks too much. We don't drink at all, as is usual when the three of us are together. We sit before a strange late meal of potatoes and bratwurst and various pâtés, slices of rare meat bleeding on the white china. Our Australian hostess calls us to attention by striking a spoon against her champagne glass. She announces that in the town where she was born, it's considered inauspicious to eat anything with fins or with wings on New Year's Eve, lest in the coming year your luck might swim or fly away. My mother spears a coin of sausage from her plate. She holds it up with her fork as if in a toast. So, she says, I guess we're safe. The clock strikes midnight, and my mother and I exchange a solemn kiss. White space. The next time I see my mother, she is in the hospital. She and my grandmother both. What happened? I say over tea at my grandparents' breakfast table. Oh, my grandmother says. Your mother's having tests, and your grandmother's broken his leg, falling over the damn house. Oh, okay, let me repeat that. Oh, my grandmother says. Your grandmother's having tests, and your grandfather's broken his leg falling over the damn hose. She points through the kitchen window toward the pool, and when I go outside, I see by the coiled hose a yellow stain on the deck where he vomited from the shock of the break. I stare at the mark for a minute, perhaps longer, and then I go to get a scrub brush to remove what the paramedics' cursory rinsing did not. My grandfather survives the surgery to repair his femur, his 93-year-old bone pinned together with four long stainless steel nails. But then he gets gangrene from a bed sore on his bed, and the painstakingly reassembled limb is amputated. He survives that surgery as well, strong heart cursing him to a few more months in hospitals and nursing homes where first the lining of his stomach and then his gallbladder and then everything else gives out. CAT scans reveal that my mother's back is hurting her because it's broken, or her vertebrae are beginning to crumble because of metastatic breast disease. X-rays show that her cough won't go away because her lungs are riddled with cancer, as is her liver. The blood gas profile says she's tired all the time because she's not getting enough oxygen. They both die slowly, and as they do, I return to them and to my grandmother. I fall into a pattern of spending 2 weeks in my father's house and then 2 weeks at my grandparents'. That amount of time representing the limit of my ability to bear either place and its pain. At my grandparents' house, my grandmother and I sleep in the same room. I in my grandfather's twin bed pushed up next to hers. Keep the telephone between our two pillows in case one of the hospital calls during the night. Oh, we keep the telephone between our two pillows in case one of the hospitals calls during the night, and I realize, lying awake beside her in the dark, that this is the closest I've felt to anyone in years. Each day at tea time, we visit my grandfather. We bring him his tea in a thermos, along with 2 cookies in a baggie. My grandmother has had tea with my grandfather every day for more than 40 years, and she will do so until the last day of his life. We see my mother after dinner, and in her room we watch television on the set bolted to the wall over our heads. We watch nighttime soaps like Dallas or Dynasty, shows in which people often scream or sob, and my mother and I cry with them. My grandmother doesn't cry while she is awake, but one night I listen as she cries in her sleep. It's an odd noise, a little uh 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 like the sound of puppies, like the sound puppies or babies make when nuzzling at their mothers for a nipple. But it's definitely crying. Her face is wet. Tears leak from under her closed eyelids, and sometimes she interrupts herself to speak. Oh, no, 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 she says, still asleep. Words I interpret as a prayer, so familiar, an internal refrain are they. White space. Does it mean I'm suicidal if I fantasize about my death, if I picture it? How often? Oh, a couple times an hour anyway, she says. The doctor winces, rubs his eyes. When I tell him that my father and I have this thing between us that is uh, not platonic, he doesn't betray disgust or even disapproval, only wariness. Oh, he says, drawing a deep breath. I see, he says, his sigh implying he's seen it before. It's not terrible? I ask, after a silence. Aren't you shocked? I say, on another occasion. But he doesn't answer. He does not address moral questions, only those of feeling and function. I've come to him because I'm afraid for my life, because my father keeps a pistol in his house, and he's taught me how to shoot it. So far, all I've done is load it. I've dropped the bullets into the chambers and clicked the cylinder in place. I felt its weight in my hand, but then, ultimately, I've put both gun and bullets away in their separate drawers. Do you want to die? The doctor asks. I can't imagine remaining alive. I can't conceive of a life apart from my mother's. I know my grandfather's death will bring sorrow, but my mother's is too great, too impossible to even begin to consider. You did this to me, she wails once, her tongue loosened by morphine. You and your father are killing me. No, I think. Us. Us. Killing us. Not you. Never only you. White space. Sometimes, when she's afraid, she'll die that very night. Uh, no, I don't think it's said that way. Sometimes, when she's afraid she'll die that very night, I spend it in the hospital with her. I sit in the chair by her bed, or I stand beside her as I keep watch over her and over the little jet that delivers oxygen to the green tube that snakes up her nose. Once she takes my hand, eyes closed. She gropes for it. She calls my name. Are you there? She asks. Yes, I say. You're always there, aren't you? Her voice is not even as loud as a whimper, like a ghost's. It's made of air. Yes, I say. Even when I'm with him, I'm standing by your bed. Especially then. Do you know? She says. After I'm dead, you're going to be very angry with me. And then she says nothing else. I squeeze her fingers, give them a little shake. I recognize the truth of her words without feeling them. Well, yes, I think. I guess you're right. But it will be a long time before I feel it. Feel in is italicized. She'll have been dead for years before my anger cools enough to touch. White space. The doctor prescribes an antidepressant that I am to take each night before bed. I've told him I'm frightened by my own capacity for recklessness, for self destruction. My grandmother's house, hidden in the desk I used when I was a schoolgirl, are 12 seasonal sectional capsules. They're old, the red gelatin sides stuck to one another. I began collecting them when I was 14. I pilfered one or two a month from the medicine cabinet. A dozen sectional won't do much, though. I used to have 40, but I lost one. And once I tried it at midnight with 27 and a tumbler full of scotch, all that I managed to swallow before I began throwing up. I never even passed out. You look a bit pale, my grandmother observed the next morning. I think I'm coming down with something, I said. What happened to your eye? I don't know. I must have slept on it funny. My right eye was red on the inside corner from having broken a blood vessel while retching. Looking at her, looking at me, I concluded that she had no idea of what had transpired in my bedroom only hours before. White space. When the doctor asks me if I want to die, I tell him I'm worried about myself, but I don't tell him about the sleeping pills because I'm too ashamed. A feeling I won't understand until years later, when what will strike me as more damning than my self destructiveness is my capacity for secrecy, my genius at revealing so little of myself, and thus the risk that I too could end up a woman as trapped within herself as my mother. I took the pills in the midst of an encompassing fog of despair, one I couldn't see beyond. Not at all. Although it was as much as a year after my mother and I went to the gynecologist's office for a diaphragm, I connect the two events. I think I took them so that my body would die along with what else was murdered that day: girlhood, hope, any notion of being safe anywhere, with anyone, white space. The drug the doctor prescribes for me, Deserel, paradoxically makes living both impossible and, to the extent that I'm aware of, unbearable. My life, I tell my father, sucks. But I mean, really, really sucks. Look, my father says, we're sitting at a picnic table at a roadside stop, the kind that truckers pull into for a few hours of sleep. Look, my father says, if it's the sex, we don't have to do it. If it's the sex, we don't have to do it. It's just a means of expressing our commitment to each other. If it's not good for you, we'll find another way. But what could serve both our needs so well as this compulsive, joyless coupling? The use of our bodies to express our desires. In this way, we are not different from other people. My flesh, starved and lifeless under his. Starved and lifeless under his. How eloquently it says what I cannot. I'm hungry and I'm dead. Dead in allegiance to my mother, and dead to him as well. Dead in response to his using his big body to separate me from the world. Trucks pass, one after another. In the wind they bring whips my long hair between our faces. I don't want abstinence. I want release. Please listen, I say. What if one day I want to have a husband, children, a family like other people have, to be lived like other people are? What other people? He says. Other people. People who weren't like you or me. I look at him. Normal people, I say. Normal people, I say. Who's normal? Normal is a mathematical concept. It has no bearing on human personality relationships. Normal is a mathematical concept. It has no bearing on human personality or relationships. Just in case you didn't hear me that first time. You know what I mean. And you know I've tried. I've given you everything you've asked. I'm not saying that it's what you intended, but I feel so alone in the world. You won't let me have anyone. Not anyone except you. And you have other people. You have a family. You can't expect me to leave my children, my father says. No, of course I don't. I don't want that at all, but what about me? I'm your child too. My father looks at me. It's too late for you, he says. What are you saying? I'm saying you've made a mistake. He leans forward. We've talked about this, how all the mistakes we make are permanent, how acts can't be undone. Yes, I say, I know. Well, he says, and he folds his arms. You've done what you've done, and you've done it with me. Now you'll never be able to have anyone else because he won't be able to keep our secret. He'll tell whoever it is once he knows he'll leave you. I look at my father. I hear his words, and to the extent that I believe him, I hate him. White space. This is irregular, the nurse says. I know, I say. We just don't do it. She walks quickly in shifting planes of white. White dress, white cardigan, white nylon tights, white shoes. Who do I have to see to get permission? Wait here, she says, and she leaves me outside a glass paned office. After making impassioned pleas to several hospital administrators and being passed from one cubicle to another, I finally secure admittance to the hospital morgue. The indulgence is granted because, as the paperwork attests, my grandfather's body will be taken directly from the morgue to the crematory. There will be no other opportunity for me to see it. But, as the man who signs me in insists, it's irregular, highly irregular. My grandfather lies in his refrigerated drawer, his hands and fists over his chin, as if he found this position, after he was brought to this cold room. His mouth is open. Seemingly in protest against such chill. I expect to be frightened by this corpse I have fought to see. But how can I be? The face and hands above the sheet are so familiar that what I feel is a rush of affection. The nurse leaves me with her grandfather, saying she'll be back after her break. After her break! And then I kneel beside him. I lay my head on his chest as I used to when I was small. I touch his eyebrows and his cheek, the white stubble of his beard. Stubble of his beard? His eyes are open and show me the same mild blue as they did in life. The pupils are clouded, as if the cataracts removed years before have returned. I look to it at his eyes for a long time. I look at his eyes for a long time. How they amaze me and teach me why it is the Undertaker closes them. That's a weird sentence. How they amaze me and teach me why it is the Undertaker closes them. Looks like a typo to me. How they amaze me and teach me why it is the Undertaker. I think they should put who closes them. Why does the Undertaker closes them? That doesn't make sense. Nonetheless, that's what it says here on page 190. I think I'll stop there for part one of chapter 15. Tune in for part two. In the next video, we are getting to 30 minutes in the video. I hope you were enjoying your listening experience so far. And I look forward to continuing the reading in the next video.